So now we go to the Q&A, and I wanted to talk a little bit now to Simon and to Francois, who both were in the sessions this morning. And actually, lots of interesting comments, particularly Simon, who were picking up on your comments about a living, breathing business. So tell us a little bit more, Simon. What's that mean to you? What's that mean to a print business or someone in our industry?
Well, I mean, yeah, a business is a bag of people aligned with a purpose, put bluntly. You know, you take outside all the other bollocks that you get in all of the, you know, books, management techniques and tactics. If you've got people who you're engaging on three levels, which are, firstly, intellectually, you're maximizing their intellectual value working within your organization. That's by training and empowering and delegating and giving people rapid opportunities to advance to the level of their ability. Then they enjoy themselves because you're maximizing them. So that maximizes their emotional return. And if they maximize their intellectual and their emotional return, people want to work with people like that. Clients want to work with people like that. Suppliers want to work, colleagues want to work with people like that. And so you get the very best out of them, and as a consequence of that, people trade with you along those bases. So you maximise the third part, the financial return. So if you understand the whole person and aggregate and align those together to offer a meaningful purpose for them to be part of your business, and that meaningful isn't maximising the money for the bloke at the top, because it's typically a bloke at the top. It is doing something that is genuinely appeals to them on at a personal level as well as their financial, intellectual and emotional, then you've got a great business. And people, it self-aligns, it self-runs, because we've got that centripetal force of people pulling together and what have you. So for me as CEO, it allows me to be furloughed. So, you know, and it's in the most radical demonstration of being able to delegate with effectiveness. I've got a 32-year-old managing director whose first act was to furlough me, and I have had the time to do many other things as a consequence of that.
Yeah, no, I know that you've obviously been doing your top 20 book reviews, haven't you?
Well, one of the things that running a business in this way, it allows you to have time. That's the one thing that none of us have. So what I have is every week diarised in, on a normal week, diarised into my diary, what I call my DIY MBA. And this is where I go out and I personally like sitting at the top of mountains and reading and listening and watching and all this kind of stuff. And I read a lot of books as a consequence of that. And so people have said, can you recommend a book to me all the time? And so I'll give them something or send them one in the post that I thought was really good. And I thought I'd do a top 20 books of all time. And the truth is, it's incredibly difficult. So what I tended then to do is aggregate together by author. So there's some, you know, I didn't even cover people like Charles Handy, who I've got a huge amount of time for. But there is a lot of good stuff out there that you can get, and you can make a world of difference to other CEOs if you can sit there, spend a bit of time with them and just understand their issues and then come up with, co-create opportunities for them to improve. And I give out books quite regularly to people, and it's been a great way of getting a top level relationship on a peer-to-peer level. I'm not a supplier and a client, I'm a peer. And as a consequence of that, you get trust. And when you get trust, you solve all of the challenges that come in a normal commercial business much quicker, because people will, you know, trust is the most efficient way of working. So anything you can do to get that trust before you need it, before you have a problem or an opportunity, you know, because on a human level, then it gives you a fantastic opportunity to maximize that benefit really effectively and quickly with them or for them or on behalf of them.
So give us one top book to read. Just give the delegates one. Oh, he's off. He's off. Brilliant.
You won't be able to see it, and yeah, long way around. There you go. Traction, Gino
Brilliant.
Wickman. A very, very good book. It's accessible, and if you want to, I mean, it's one of the ones that I did actually do my review on. And if you want to cut through the bollocks to get straight to the point and what you need to do, look at page 222. And it really just outlines a dot to dot, really, of improving the agility of your business to empowering people. It's a bit American, and I don't, you know, but if you can get over the kind of wrong spelling of most of the words and the kind of mom and pop kind of, you know, narrative, then it's a really, really powerful book. And I actually sent the video review to Gino Wickman. I got a reply straight back, and he's like, "That's fantastic, and thank you." You know, again, on a personal level, it's a really powerful. And business is personal.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. And I guess he's flattered to have a personal approval from yourself, isn't he? It's just nice to have, isn't it? We all get slagged off all the time, don't we? You know, and it's just nice occasionally for someone to say, "Actually, that was great."
It really was great. And you know, I've done the same to Harvard professors on some of the people that I've been getting in touch with, and they do the same. You know, we've been having a chat about where they're furloughed and what they're doing, and you know, none of which I expected, to be honest. But if you resonate with people on a human level, and you're not in it for anything, you're just trying to do it, then it's amazingly powerful. The force of good, it builds a real momentum into that kind of thing. So
Simon, I want to bring Francois into the conversation. Francois, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Do you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, of course. Thank you, Francois. So hopefully you listened to Simon's session, which was very much about the kind of culture of his business. And there's some big things going on at Bob's in the way you're approaching business at the moment and rethinking things. And I get the sense that you're trying to interconnect with all the stakeholders that are involved in the organisation, and also in terms of your relationships with customers and things. Is that right? Have I got that right? Have I understood?
Oh, you get it right. And in fact, following what Simon was talking about, I mean, the purpose is really important within Bob's, and also the responsibility. So we are now rethinking many things, and the COVID-19 has been indeed a very good time to rethink, to take the time, as Simon said. So we were not climbing mountains, but we were looking at all the things that we have been doing over the last 20 years, and without asking ourselves, why are we doing that? And the answer was often, oh, we did it because we always did it. And so that has been forcing us to make some changes in some areas. And we believe it's going to be better for all of us, and not only, but also for our clients, with the new decisions that we are taking.
You're quite close in terms of your relationship with your brand. Yeah.
Yes, we work, because when you develop new machines, you need to understand what are the needs of the clients. And we have two types of clients. We have the one we are selling to, they are the converters, packing converters, and then the packing converters are selling what they produce to brand owners. So we are basically closing the loop. It's a kind of a triangle between the brand owners, the converters, and us. And we have discussions with both of them, not on the same topics, obviously, but very close. At the end, it's all about packaging production.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, a couple of bits of news that have occurred in the last day or so in terms of Bob's. One of them was the situation with Drupa, and I know that you've decided as an organisation not to attend. Can you enlighten us any more on that piece of news?
But it's a little bit the follow-up of the first question you asked me. What is the purpose of a company, and what kind of responsibilities do we need to take? And when we looked at Drupa 2020, we were very keen of attending Drupa 2020. We had a lot of news to reveal. We had a specific setup. We were thinking about a new customer experience and this and that. But COVID-19 came. The show has been postponed to 2021, and that took us as a surprise. We discovered the date like all the others. And then we looked at ourselves and we said, okay, for the 2021 edition, what does it take for an industry trade show to be successful? And you need three things. You need to have news, you need to have a lot of visitors and participants, and you need to have a decent customer experience or a very good one. And if we look at the 2021 edition, we are very worried that in terms of news, there will not be much, because all the news of 2020, we don't keep them in the fridge. We reveal them now.
Yeah.
You cannot postpone innovation. So
Yeah,
news-wise, 2021, a bit weak. In terms of participants, we are very much worried that there will be far less traffic than the previous edition. USA will probably not show up. Latin America is going into major troubles. We all read the same news. China and Asia, overall, they will stay where they are. And in Europe, nobody knows yet if visitors outside of Schengen will even be able to fly.
Yeah.
So participants, we believe that there will be at least a 50% decline. And then if we look at the customer experience, if we have to keep the rules of distanciation and this and that, 2 meters, imagine that the two of us, we want to have a drink or we want to have a discussion, it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be so much private anymore, and the space occupation will be different. So then we came to the conclusion that for 2021, trade shows, all of them, not only Drupa, all of them, Label Expo, does not fly.
Yeah.
And the last element is that from a social responsibility standpoint, it's something that we started to discuss years ago. Moving tons of equipment all over the world for 11 days, it was okay. Bob's was attending the first Drupa in 1951. So Bob's has always been at Drupa. But then now, customers expect different engaging models. And it's not necessarily required to ship, I don't know, for Bob's 300 tons of equipment to a given destination. And then you are installing it for 2 weeks, operating it for 11 days, dismantling in a week and shipping back. Is very costly, and for the environmental impact is very big. So we need also to start to take some decisions. It's easy to say environmental is important. Oh, I can say that. It's like, oh, I need to pay attention to my diet. Yeah, but then, my friend, what do you keep eating all the time? So we had to make some tough decisions to say, no, things have to change. And the combination of the everything, then it made it obvious that going to trade shows in 2021 does not make sense. And we will see how things evolve in the future. But I believe that trade shows, they will have to evolve. I mean, the CeBIT was around for decades. I was myself there almost as a student, but CeBIT doesn't exist anymore.
Simon, have you got a view on the kind of this kind of issue of trade shows, but also the way that we will do business in the future? You know, this kind of, has COVID led to something? What's your view?
I think it radically has. I think now people are much more comfortable doing this in particular. Before, if you'd have suggested to somebody do a video call, nobody had the technology. We've got firewalls, this, we can't do that, we don't want to do it. Or you looked as a cheapskate, you can't be bothered to see me, so you're a second-class citizen, you know. Whereas this has been a great leveler on many levels. One is it's seen as very accessible, and it's probably 80% as good as seeing people face-to-face, especially if you can't shake them by the hand and, you know, be in close proximity anyway. But secondly, time effectiveness is just fabulous. You know, I have an electric car, so I didn't feel particularly bad about driving around the countryside. But I did do, you know, about 1,000 miles a week. I mean, it's a huge amount of traveling, because I like meeting people. But if I can do it from the glories of Barnsley in Yorkshire, and I can do 5 times as many and not have to go out and hit the motorways, then that's fantastic, especially if you're not seen as somebody who's just doing it for their expeditious reasons. It's now something that you can do really easily for people, because they're outside of the firewall of their organisation. You know, they're at home, and therefore they can do what they want to do. Quite often, the corporate bureaucracy was well behind the actual requirement, you know, because you could also do it on your smartphone. But you know, typically people were, you know, you're moving around and all this kind of stuff. And now we're all kind of set up for it. So yes, I think it'll be a huge difference. It'll turbocharge the quality people getting to see more people.
Yeah, I want to ask that question actually. So to both of you, this issue of investment in machinery, and one of the reasons perhaps shows won't work next year is because people like you, Simon, like Francois' customers, they're just going to be a bit nervous about investing in large bits of kit. Do you think that's what the issue is going to be?
I would think everybody's going to be nervous investing on anything other than digital talent, to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
It's a very good summary.
No, that's exactly it.
I don't think, I can't see, with high degree of uncertainty and unpredictability, people don't want to invest. So you may upgrade, your existing equipment, retrofit certain elements which lead to automation. But the one thing, more than anything else, people need is digital sales and marketing automation, so you can get the reach out there. And so, if somebody comes onto there, they need to have a seamless way of getting in touch with somebody like myself or somebody in the team to be able to really quickly handle their response, and then move them onto a mobile-first experience for the post-order environment. And if you look at most B2B companies, they're not even digitally first, let alone mobile first. And in that sense, they are way behind the B2C world, and we've got to catch up really quickly. What I've seen is there's been a 10-year leap in digital adoption in B2B. People are much more willing. You would typically, we've had a portal for years, but getting people to use it, they'd rather pick up the phone and speak to somebody and all this kind of stuff. Now they're not. Now they're happy to do that, upload their stuff, get it done without any further interaction with people. They do need people for insight, creativity, strategy, and empathy. Those are the four things, only the four things, that humans are uniquely able to deliver that computerization can't. And if you look at AI and you look at the machine learning, that it will grow the percentage of activity that it is fully automated. So I'm really thinking I want to be able to spend as much time as I can chatting to people like this, and the back office functionality in terms of lead management and opportunities, client acquisition and retention strategies, finance, HR and stuff. There is a solution out there for it which needs a very light touch of human being. And this is where I think we've got 20 to 30% of employees are probably not going to come back into their organization. And that's a real challenge for society and individuals. But when you see that you can invest in a SaaS platform to deliver something like that, this is one of the challenges that I think most businesses are having to face now. We've got this kind of warm and cuddly furlough type experience at the moment. It's tapering off in all companies and countries. And what you'll find now is that those hard decisions are having to be taken to say, well, to right size our organization for the future, what can we do without? What do we need to double down on in terms of investment?
Is one of your books in your top 20 the Daniel Susskind book? Do you know this book?
No, I don't.
Okay, Daniel Susskind is this theorist who is talking exactly about those issues that you're discussing, which is what the future of work will look like.
If you're listening to me, it's the other way around.
Yeah, it's that kind of thinking of. It's interesting actually, because also when Francois' presentation this morning, you were covering off a lot of this sense that the cloud, cloud systems and interconnectivity and automation. So it sounds as though you're talking from a very similar sort of direction. Francois, are you with Simon on the same issues?
Yes, absolutely. And what Simon said, it is like right now, customers, they know that they will have to invest in the future because they need to provide to their clients more agility and more sustainability. That's the two keywords for packaging production. And knowing that they have to provide that, they know that they have to digitalize, that they have to connect, to redefine the workflow. But before to do that, they need to, as Simon said, they need first to understand all the key steps, and they need to find the right human resources to be able then to buy the equipment that will be more automated, more connected, and more digitalized. And that will take some time. We are probably giving our customers, the COVID is giving our clients an opportunity to rethink a lot of things before to buy new equipment. And then to buy new equipment, they will start first to do videos on the phone, to look at what's going on, and virtual demos. And then they will visit the so-called demo centers or competence centers or experience centers from the different manufacturers. And based on that, they will be able to make their own decision on what to buy.
We've got a question. I must just pose it because I think the both of you would love to respond to this. What are we going to do with all those humans left with no jobs to do if all the machines are taking over 80% of what we do now? Simon?
Well, it has always been thus. When you look at the agrarian revolution, the industrial revolution, the knowledge revolution, the ICT revolution, and we're now really going on to the automation revolution of everything. There's a huge amount of opportunity. You look on LinkedIn and, 10 years ago, would you have seen most of the jobs that people are actually doing now, which are typically high paid and typically they're pretty savvy jobs? You look at ecom, there's no shortage of opportunity to there. So one of the things that Webmart is doing with their charity side is sponsoring a prison coding academy. Because if I can give, like the old Chinese saying, give a man a fish and he has a meal, teach a man to fish for a lifetime. With digital talent, digital skill, you will never be unemployed in our lifetime, because there is such a huge opportunity for people to get that. Now, that doesn't mean to say everybody, of course, who has been moving boxes around could be a digital warrior. However, there is a massive opportunity for that. And it is a totally different world than it was. But, I'm in Barnsley, which 30 years ago was a huge mining town. And now there hasn't been mines there for 28 years. You reinvent yourself, and it does take time. So training, education, continual professional development is an absolute mantra. And this is where, if there's one thing I would urge anybody who's feels threatened by this, it is a threat. If you've got this, you're resting on the same skill set that you were resting on 10 years ago, your half-life, commercial half-life in your career is coming down and down and down. So really, to invest, there's loads of great sites out there. Future Learn, the government website that I'm doing things on at the moment, Khan Academy, TED. There's loads of free resources to upskill yourself. And don't think it's for somebody else to do, because bear in mind, these titans of e-commerce 10 years ago probably were in the same boat that you are. So, you can't turn back time, but you can adopt the skill set that you need to look after yourself and your family. And it's all digital going forward.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. Anyone listening today is part of that. They're learning, listening to people discussing these issues. So we're kind of in the right place. I just to finish off on this, because I'm quite interested to know. You talked about your managing director being 32. Do you sense that in the print industry and the packaging industry, which are traditional industries, we need to rethink our recruitment processes and look at new skills and because that they will inevitably help the business drive forward? Do you think this is one of the
Absolutely. You need to look for digital talents.
Yep.
So digital talents are required, and it doesn't mean digital printing necessary. It is all the data that you are going to exchange with your clients, within your own company, with your suppliers. It's all about data exchange, and therefore you need to look for new talents capable of handling data properly. But you need also, as Simon said, you need to train the existing one you have to be able to do that. Because the one you have, you will keep them, because what they do, what they know has value. but you just need to give them opportunities to do new things and to learn, and that's really possible. But it's a change of mindset, because until now we were just purchasing machines and machines and machines and pretty much the same. Because if you are very honest, an offset press from the 50s and today, it's still the same pretty much. But now that we are moving into really a digital age, it's going to be different. It's like an electric car versus a traditional car. It is a significant change. But if you take a car that you buy today, not electric, versus the one of the 50s, it's pretty much the same. Of course, you have a little, and that's the same in the printing industry. We are now entering into a new age. Again, it will not happen overnight. It will take time to transition.
Sure. Simon, would you endorse the same?
Yeah, I think to be honest, we inverted our management structure many years ago. So we have my responsibility as founder and CEO. I'm at the bottom of the pyramid, an inverted pyramid, and I'm there to challenge but to support all of the changes going on. The frontline people are the people that make the innovation within our organization. And as a consequence of that, innovation comes down and it comes much quicker than if it is ordained from the top. And what you tend to find is those that are exceptional are ideas factories. And they're not just coming up with loads of ideas, they're coming up with ideas that are practical. And so what you got to distillate, because it percolates down, and the people that are the most able naturally get in more senior positions quicker. And so we've got people in their 20s who are in senior director positions in the 30s running the business. And bear in mind, in our world, which is marketing, print and marketing services, our customers are in their 20s and 30s typically. They're not in their 40s and 50s and what have you. Now, I may have top level relationships with the owners of the businesses that may be my age, and that's where I should be. I can help, and by having a peer-to-peer thing. So you basically your organization should reflect your customer base. And if your and the truth of the matter is, if your customer base is in the 50s, you're fucked. Because they're going to be, they're going to be retiring in 10 years.
Yeah. And also that point about, I think you may have mentioned this before, that younger people clearly buy things that have a clear purpose. So companies that offer a good ethical position, that have a clear reason for being, for a purpose. It's a different philosophy, and therefore we have to get into that mindset and think about that a little bit more, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've got a question here from Brendan. Do you think the theory that SME printers will largely stop production in the next 10 years and effectively all become print managers and focus on creative consultancy is correct? Do you think there's that sort of change? I mean, in a way, Simon, you've done that already, haven't you? You've kind of done a little bit of that. Francois, do you sense that? Do you think the dynamic of your customer base will change, that printers and packaging converters will become more of a service provider?
But today they already provide services. In fact, they need to provide the right box at the right time and the right price. And to do that, it's a service as such, because when you need a box or a pouch or a label, it's not only the product itself, it's how it was done, at which cost, with what kind of environmental impact. So the converters, they know that they have to change their business model, but most of them have done it already a little bit. They are not positioning themselves as, okay, I just make boxes with that kind of technology. They are willing to adjust to the new trends in the society. And this is why that most of them are now very much worried about sustainability and the ability to print short runs cost effectively, not to manage piles of stock. So they are also discussing supply chain activities with their clients, who is owning the stock, why do we have stock, and so it is evolving, but it is not evolving very fast. But I must say that the packaging industry has made great progress over the last 50 years, and now it's entering a new era where things will change because of the digitalization. And packaging will become more digital. It doesn't mean, again, digital printing all over the place. It means a digitalized workflow where decision can be made fact-based by all the stakeholders. That's pretty much what it means, the future of packaging. Everyone looks at the box, everyone specifies his requirements, and then it is done in a more dynamic way. And people can then decide, yes, I want that, no, I don't, and then boom, it's done. And then you know how much it will cost.
We've got 5 minutes just left. I just want to pick up on a question that's been posted, which I think is important because a lot of people listening are from the manufacturing side, and obviously you are, Francois. If investments in heavy equipment is going to be dramatically reduced, and I think we've all kind of agreed that's probably going to happen, how are print manufacturers going to survive?
I mean, it's not going to be heavily, I mean, packaging is not like commercial printing, and it is not like large format printing. So we need to segment. So heavy machinery, it will continue in packaging, where I work. We know that packaging production has to continue. We are not going to ship Kellogg's without the box. So as long as we have a box to pack the Kellogg's, there will be machineries shipped and installed.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is happening now is that we are going to see kind of a 6-month hole in the everything, or 6 to a year, I don't know, 6 months to 1 year, where people are rethinking, what kind of machinery do I need? So maybe they don't need these monster machines anymore, but they need maybe smaller machines that are a little bit more agile.
Yeah.
I like very much the analogy of super heavy trucks, a light truck. So
Vans.
we have the same. So we need to see what is required these days. And I believe we are going to go now to more moderate time of machines, mid-range.
Okay, Simon, just pick up on this, because I think obviously Francois' point of view comes from, at the moment, from the packaging side, which is probably after COVID not suffering so badly.
Correct.
Other sides.
Printing is I mean, commercial printing is where I worked in the past. Commercial printing is going to suffer. I think between 20 to 30% of the printers will simply disappear.
Yeah. So Simon, do you agree with that? Do you think that's where we're heading?
Well, two things. One is, from a manufacturing point of view, I think there needs to be significantly more cooperation between them for component parts. You look at cars, it's exactly the same thing. Everybody's rationalizing on platforms. Why make bearings and stuff? Look at the uniqueness. This is where they haven't done that. What is it uniquely that they need to manufacture in-house? And there will be only a few signature processes or bits of technology that they do. Probably 80% of what they actually manufacture now, they can buy in, is the truth. They're under a trading agreement, what have you. That has to happen. No ifs and buts and whys and wherefores. Always, when you have a declining market, and if you look at litho, light web, light gravure, light whatever, you need to get that done. And in terms of SME printers, if there are more than my fingers and toes in the UK in 10 years' time, I'll be staggered.
Really?
I mean, what generalist kind of stuff? There isn't simply there isn't the volume. There needs to be specialists. So you have the aggregative model that we've got there now with Blue Tree and what have you. So that's taken out a whole tranche of it, and then you really won't. You have to look at your customers, wrap yourself around them, and offer all channels to market. People don't care about print. They like it, but they don't care about it. What they want is an effective way of communicating their message to their customers in the most effective way that they can. At the moment, we've got a problem in print that there is no attribution. And if you don't know what attribution is, then you've got to look it up, because that's why we're getting absolutely fucking murdered in the marketplace of digital comms. Because if you look at digital media, they have a cost, they have attributed return on investment.
Yeah, clearly.
Therefore, you say, if I give £1 here, I'll get £3 there.
Yeah.
Print can do that, and it has to do that, because otherwise we're going to a gunfight with a pea shooter. And that's why what we've found is that a lot of money that was in print has now migrated to digital channels, because the 20 and 30-year-olds like dashboards, and they like to prove ROI, and we can't do it. So this is where I think, you know, going back to Brendan's question, I think that if they class themselves as a small, medium printer, unless there is a real USP that they've got. So, you know, there are people that do gilt-edged cards and all this kind of, you know, fantastic. These are artisan. But for a run-of-the-mill standard thing, there is no future. So you really need to get your head around that quickly if you haven't already.
Gentlemen, 1 o'clock UK time, 2 o'clock European time. Thank you to both of you, because the next session is about to begin. Thank you, Francois. Really appreciate you joining us. Some excellent comments. And Simon, thank you very much to you. Lots of people wanted to hear from both of you. I've had a chance to hear a little bit extra, so thank you both.